He still rides his Toyota pickup, 1994, dents and all. He must be a bad driver. There's a lot of women in this neighborhood.
Hey, wait a minute there, Robert. Oh, let's not go there. I'll tell you what, did you ever see a man in a car with a cell phone? Look out.
Men don't have cell phones.
Oh, baloney. They're worse than women. We already know how to drive bad, but you put a man with a cell phone in a car, look out. He's worse than any woman that I've seen.
If I'm in the car and the cell phone goes off, I pull over.
That's what
I will not drive and try to talk on the phone.
Hey, you know what? I've tried that, and I'm always ending up in the other lane, so I don't do that anymore.
I see. Well, anyway, the coin store has an MS-64, $5 Indian, 1909 D is in Denver, for about $3,700. Is that a fair price?
What date is that? I wanted to look up the date on that.
1909 D is in Denver.
1909?
Yeah, $5 Indian.
It's a 5 Indian.
And it's about, they're offering it at $3,700.
Let's see, 64, 5 Indian. Mine would be 3335. Mine'd be a little less.
What's a little less?
About $25.
Oh, okay. There's your question. Brian, you got the answer directly from the diva. Let's see here.
Let me just make a comment here. The problem with local coin dealers is when you go to sell the coins, that's when they really rip you off. Because that's how they get their product. They're not ripping you off, but that's how they get their inventory. And their inventory has to sit in their glass display cases. It could be for months till somebody comes in and buys it. I've had reports, and I will always check out my local dealers. I'll just walk in and say, what would you pay for this? I've had quotes for gold maple leaves $100 below spot. That's what they do. And so when you figure out that's how they get their coins, and then their price is, $25 more than mine, they make a considerable amount more. As far as their commissions is a lot greater. So that's where the corner stores are not a good place to buy from.
So that's you I've been reading about in the Pittsburgh Penguin newspaper. The woman that goes to the coin store and gets prices. Or was it in the McKeesport Herald or the Williamsport whatchamacallit?
I almost got kicked out of one.
Is that right?
Yeah, he wanted to keep my coin. And I said, no, you can't keep my coin. He said, well, we have to make sure it's real. I said, well, how long you been in the business? I've been in the business for 30 years. I said, well, then you should be able to tell that it's real or not. Well, I need to have this coin back here. If you want your money, I said, well, give me back my coin. And, he was nasty, very nasty. He told me to get out. Little old me.
Were you carrying a gun that day?
No.
Anyway, I think we've answered the question. It's in the ballpark for that coin. Okay, let's go on here. He says you do great work, and he's a subscriber to the Forecaster. If you buy it from Melody, you get a free Forecaster, and you'll buy $25 cheaper, so you'll save $185. But, gee, that's a good idea. Call Melody on that coin.
What?
She'll get it for you cheaper.
What?
You just listen. Anyway, here we go. Let's see. I said in the IF, we think the key is the collapse of the dollar, which will send gold and silver to considerably higher prices. These events could unfold over the next 2 to 4 months. There could be devaluation and default of the U.S. dollar and American debt. And further on, the hyperinflation should last 2 to 2.5 more years. Devaluation and default shouldn't occur before then, but there'll be much market tumult over the period. And my answer to David, and David is very smart, and he sends in a lot of very interesting things to us. And I think what's going to happen is, what did we close at on the USDX today?
It came back a little bit, but we actually broke. Hold on a second.
It was down all day.
Oh,
they must have come in at the end and ran the
79.15 down 0.30, but it was in the 78s.
I know. Yeah, early on.
Yeah.
What I mean here is this. I think that the dollar is going to test 71.18 much more quickly than people think. Essentially, what the administration and the power behind government has decided is, let's let the dollar go down. Of course, people throughout the world, particularly the Europeans, are howling because their currencies are going up in value versus the dollar, and they export a lot more than the United States does, and so that makes their products less competitive. But getting back to the reason itself, that reason is that they have abandoned the dollar. And this is why Geithner this weekend was over in China. In fact, he made a speech in Peking or Beijing, and he said that the dollar was going to be a safe investment, and it was before students in the university. I don't know how many were there, but there was a considerable amount, and they howled with laughter. It took several minutes to quiet the crowd because they were laughing so hard. And I'm not making this up. This is true. I just got this off of AP early this morning, and Reuters ran a piece on it as well. And so, obviously the Chinese don't believe Mr. Geithner. The only reason the dollar went up was deleveraging by particularly hedge funds, which is still going on in a moderate way, although this higher market is allowing them to exit and get rid of a lot of the leverage that they had. So there shouldn't be an awful lot more deleveraging going on. And, of course, the carry trades were wrapped up as well. So that made the dollar go up. Nobody expected it. I didn't make the call. I was surprised. We went from 71.18 to 89.5, which is unbelievable. Well, anyway, it's going right back down again. And I think the events of the next 4 months will probably see the dollar back testing 71.18, and that's going to cause a great deal of consternation. And it's going to push interest rates up. We predicted that the 10-year would go from 235 to 350 before the end of the year. Of course, it went to 377 last week. It's 367 today. And I'm losing my voice here. If you'll excuse me, this is my 5th program today. So anyway, I expect that what's going to happen here is interest rates will go higher. 4%, maybe 4.25 or half, but they're going higher. And that's part of the dollar going down, and they know there's hyperinflation coming. Anybody that would buy U.S. Treasuries would have to be out of their skulls. I mean, it's the antithesis of prudent investing, believe me, because, we're looking at 15% easy on by the end of the year of inflation. And not that they'll admit to it, but that's not the point. That's where it will be. And everybody else knows that. And so if you take the yield of, let's say it's 4.5% by the end of the year, and you deduct it from 15, you're still offside 10%. And that's not a very good investment. It's just like people who say, well, I got a life insurance policy, and there's $100,000 in equity in it, and I'm going to use U.S. Treasuries. And my answer is, well, down the line 2 or 3 years from now, maybe sooner, they could devalue the U.S. dollar, maybe 1 for 10. That's possible. How probable it is, I don't know, but it's possible. You'd lose 90% of your money. What kind of investment is that when you can go in gold and silver-related assets and won't lose any money? It doesn't make any sense to me. And so the writer writes back and says, well, how can I be insured? That's simple. Buy level term life insurance. Far cheaper, and it accomplishes the same thing. People buy life policies because they're talked into them. Incidentally, I had an insurance license for 25 years, so I know all about insurance. There was a book written in 1952 called The Grim Truth About Life Insurance.